Hi everyone. The lesson is Decision Making Part 1 If Commands in Objective-C. Let's dig into the lesson. We'll be using Xcode version 11.4.1 and Apple Developer Docs and API referencing. You need to have some knowledge about basics of programming and make sure to look at the previous lessons in this series about data types, variables, constants, and simple calculator. In this session, we will learn about decision making, if commands, and as usual, it will be practical demonstrations. So let's dig into the lesson. So let's create a new project in Xcode. Let's make sure you select Mac OS command line tool. Make sure you do that and give a meaningful project name. Let's say example 1 for decision making, right? And make sure you select the language as Objective-C and click next and select a suitable location, right, for you to do the project. Let's select the suitable location. Let's say create, right? Awesome. So you are landed to the settings page. Then from the left hand side, from the project navigator, click on the file. You will see some comments at the top: import statement, main method, and auto release pool block and ns log. So let's say starting right. Okay, so let's try a simple if command for you to understand. So let's say I got a variable to store the marks, right? I got a variable to store the marks. Let's say a student has scored 60 marks, right? Now based on the marks, let's say I want to decide whether the student is pass or fail. So let's say if the marks are above 50, the student is pass, otherwise the student is fail, right? So how do I do it? So you put a if command, right? And when you type if, you will get this. So what you have to do is just press the tab key, right? So when you press the tab key, it will create the skeleton code, right? So I will show it to you once again. So you just type if and press tab, then it creates a skeleton code. So as a condition, I can say if marks greater than 50, right? Let's say greater than or equal to 50. Then the statement, let's say print as pass, right? And print a new line, right? Okay. Else, right, I can say fail. It's simple, right? Put a semicolon at the end. Fail. So this is simple if command just to see the student is pass or fail. So if you run this code, because the marks is 60 at the moment in the variable, so I'm expecting to see the student as pass, right? So if you look here, you can see the student is pass, right? Awesome. And so if I change the marks, let's say if it's 30 marks, and if I run, you should see the student has failed, right? Awesome, great, right? So it works, right? So simple program, so a simple if command, and it works. Let's see what's next. So let's read the data from the keyboard, right, as example. So let's say initially I will give the marks as 0, but now say I want to read it from the keyboard. So I can say printf, I can say enter marks, right? And then I'd read it from the keyboard, right? So then to read it from the keyboard, there's a command called scanf, right? So you can say scanf, and then you have to say what variable you want to read the data. Let's see. Let's do it now. So to read the data from the keyboard, you will have to put the command scanf, and the variable is marks, but you have to give the memory address for that variable for the scanf. So to get the memory address of the variable, you will put ampersand in front. And then over here, you have to give the format specifier to say what type of variable it is you are reading. So it's a integer, so you have to say percentage d. So this is how you read data from the keyboard, and the rest is the same. So if I run this now, you will see, okay, it says it's waiting until you enter the marks over here, because you have put a scanf. So if you put say 80 marks and it reads and it says it's pass, right? If you run again, it's waiting for you to enter the marks. If you put a low mark over here, it says it is failed. So this is how you do a simple keyboard input, and with that a decision making command. So let's see what's next. So let's create another project and do some modifications. So what I'm doing is I'm copying this code because I'm going to create a new project. So file, new project, and once again macOS command line tool. Make sure it's not iOS, it should macOS command line tool. Click next, and then give let's say example number 2. Make sure it's Objective-C language selected. Click next, and then you select a location, right? Okay, let's say over here somewhere you want to save it, right? And just say create, right? Okay, let's check it now. Okay, so let's go to the source file over here, click over here, and let's paste that code, right? Awesome. And now let's say I want to give grades, right? So for example, if it's let's say if the marks are greater than 85, right? If the marks are greater than or equal to 85, then I want to print as a distinction, right? Then else if, right? Else if, if not, it will check if the marks are greater than, let's say 75, right? So if it's greater than 85, it's a higher distinction, otherwise it's a distinction, right? So let's copy this else if. So else if the marks are greater than say 65, let's say it's a credit. Else if the marks are greater than or equal to 50, let's say it's a pass. If not, that means the final else you can say it is a fail grade, right? So simple exercise for you to revise your knowledge about if else if, right? So if you run this now, you should see the keyboard input is requested. So let's run this again, right? Let's run this. Okay, enter the marks. So if I enter 90 marks, you can see it's a higher distinction. I'll just put from here and there, right? If I put 60 marks, it should be a normal pass, C, right? But if I got say 76 marks, right? 76 marks, it's a distinction. See, it's working. But if I put say 30 marks, right, it's a fail. Awesome. So this is the end of if conditions, and it so you understand basically how to use if conditions. So we completed the practical demonstrations, and we learned about if conditions, and we didn't use Apple Developer Docs and API for this, but we'll be using for future lessons. Have a look at our other videos for practicals on Objective-C, and we are very excited to see you in the next lesson. See you in the next lesson.